A new mission. Zane Ryder, a seasoned human explorer known for his resourcefulness and tenacity, stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber buzzed with a mix of anticipation and tension as representatives from various star systems eyed the lone human. Ryder, Admiral Zolak began, his scaled visage looming on the holoscreen. The Council has chosen you for a vital mission to Zorgax, an uncharted world on the fringes of known space. Your task is to survey the planet and assess its potential for colonization. Zane's eyes narrowed imperceptibly. He had a reputation for defying authority and exposing the Council's shady dealings. Entrusting him with such a mission seemed out of character. "Why me?" Zane asked bluntly. "Surely there are more qualified candidates." The corners of Zolak's mouth twitched. "Your unique skills make you the ideal choice. Consider it an opportunity to prove your worth to the Council." Zane sensed the true intent behind the Admiral's words, an unspoken challenge. The Council hoped he would fail, perhaps even perish on this mission. One less thorn in their side. "Very well," Zane said, his voice laced with determination. "I accept." As he strode from the chamber, Zane's mind raced with preparations. He would need to outfit his ship, the Odyssey, with the latest tech and survival gear. Zorgax was a mystery, and he had no intention of falling victim to the Council's schemes. In the solitude of his quarters, Zane pored over what little data the Council had provided. Zorgax was a harsh world, racked by ion storms and tectonic upheavals. Life signs were sparse and erratic. It would take all of his skills to survive. But Zane Ryder was not one to back down from a challenge. He would unravel the secrets of Zorgax, and, if necessary, use them to expose the Council's true nature. For too long, they had manipulated the galactic community for their own gain. It was time for a reckoning. As the Odyssey sliced through the inky void of space, Zane steeled himself for the trials ahead. Little did he know that the greatest surprises lay not in the dangers of Zorgax, but in the unexpected bonds he would forge on that alien soil. Arrival on Zorgax. The Odyssey shuddered as it plunged through Zorgax's turbulent atmosphere. Angry red lightning danced across the view screen, illuminating the roiling clouds in a hellish glow. Zane gripped the controls, his knuckles white, as he fought to keep the ship steady. With a final bone-jarring lurch, the Odyssey broke through the cloud cover and emerged into a nightmarish landscape. Jagged spires of obsidian clawed at the sickly green sky, their peaks lost in a miasma of noxious fumes. The ground was a patchwork of pulsating vegetation and bubbling swamps, all bathed in an eerie bioluminescent hue. Zane set the ship down on a relatively stable outcropping, the landing gear sinking into the spongy, fungal mass. He checked his suit's seals and life support systems before venturing out onto the surface, a wary hand resting on his plasma rifle. The air was thick and cloying, laden with an acrid stench that made Zane's eyes water. Every step was an effort, his boots sinking into the muddy ground as if the very planet sought to swallow him whole. Twisted shapes skittered at the edges of his vision, always vanishing when he turned for a clearer look. As he scouted the area around the landing site, a sudden tremor sent Zane stumbling. The ground heaved and split, a massive chasm yawning open before him. From the depths of the crevasse, a monstrous form emerged, all gnashing teeth and flailing tentacles. Zane reacted on instinct, raising his rifle and sending a volley of plasma bolts into the creature's gaping maw. The beast howled in pain and fury, its thrashing limbs carving gouges in the earth. Zane kept firing, the superheated plasma searing through the creature's flesh until it finally slumped back into the chasm, its dying shrieks echoing across the desolate landscape. Panting, Zane lowered his rifle and surveyed the destruction. If this was what passed for a welcoming committee on Zorgax, he shuddered to think what other horrors awaited him. As he turned back towards the Odyssey, a glint of movement caught his eye. On a distant ridge, a hulking shape observed him, its form obscured by the writhing mists. Zane raised his rifle, but the creature made no move to approach. Curious, he activated his helmet's long-range scanners. The readings were unlike anything he had encountered. The creature was immense, dwarfing the Odyssey in size. Yet, despite its formidable appearance, there was something almost intelligent in its bearing, as if it was assessing Zane as much as he was studying it. The standoff lasted a long moment before the creature turned and melted back into the mists, leaving Zane with a mind full of questions and a growing sense that Zorgax held more surprises than he had bargained for. An unexpected bond. Over the next few cycles, Zane explored the hostile terrain surrounding the Odyssey. He catalogued the bizarre flora and fauna, always keeping a wary eye out for the massive creature he had glimpsed on that first day. Though he caught occasional signs of its presence, a massive footprint in the soft earth, a glimpse of movement on a distant ridge, the beast seemed content to observe him from afar. As he ventured deeper into the alien landscape, Zane discovered that Zorgax was not the lifeless wasteland the Council had led him to believe. Amidst the twisted vegetation and noxious swamps, pockets of strange beauty could be found. Bioluminescent flowers bloomed in sheltered glens, their delicate petals pulsing with hypnotic light. Crystalline formations jutted from cliff faces, resonating with eerie, almost musical tones. It was during one such expedition that Zane found himself cornered by a pack of vicious predators. The creatures were all fangs and claws, their hide a mottled blend of scales and bristling spines. They circled him, hissing and snarling, as he desperately sought an escape route. Just as the pack leader tensed to spring, a deafening roar shook the ground. The massive creature Zane had seen before burst from the undergrowth, scattering the predators like leaves before a gale. It placed itself between Zane and the snarling pack, its immense bulk an impenetrable wall of muscle and fur. The predators, suddenly outmatched, slunk back into the shadows, leaving Zane alone with his unexpected savior. He watched, heart pounding, as the creature turned to face him. Up close, he could see the intelligence gleaming in its deep, amber eyes. It regarded him with a mix of curiosity and something almost like recognition. Slowly, carefully, Zane holstered his rifle and raised his empty hands. "Easy there, big fella," he murmured, his voice soft and soothing. "I'm not gonna hurt you." To his amazement, the creature huffed a gentle breath and lowered its massive head, bringing it level with Zane's own. It nuzzled his outstretched hand, the fur around its muzzle softer than he could have imagined. In that moment, a bond was forged, an understanding that transcended species and worlds. Zane knew, with a certainty that defied logic, that this creature was no mere beast. It possessed an intelligence and empathy that rivaled any sentient being he had encountered. He named it Titan, for its immense size and strength. In the days that followed, Titan became Zane's constant companion, guiding him through the treacherous landscapes of Zorgax. With Titan by his side, Zane braved toxic swamps and scaled jagged peaks, marveling at the wonders and horrors the planet had to offer. As they explored, Zane couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Zorgax than met the eye. The Council's insistence on sending him here, alone and unprepared, hinted at secrets they hoped would remain buried. With Titan's help, he was determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Little did he know, the greatest revelations were yet to come. Revelations and rebellion. Deep in the heart of Zorgax's twisted jungles, Zane and Titan stumbled upon an ancient alien ruin. The structure was unlike anything Zane had encountered, its walls etched with glowing glyphs that pulsed with an eerie, hypnotic rhythm. As they ventured deeper into the crumbling edifice, a sense of unease settled over Zane. There was something hauntingly familiar about the symbols, as if they spoke to a truth long forgotten. In the central chamber, they discovered a towering hologram of a being that resembled Titan. The image flickered and danced, its voice a ghostly whisper that filled the air. It spoke of a once great civilization, a peaceful race that had called Zorgax home long before the rise of the Galactic Council. They had achieved wonders, harnessing the planet's unique energies to power marvels of technology and medicine. But their advancements had drawn the attention of the Council, who saw in Zorgax a threat to their own power. The Council had come in force, their ships darkening the skies as they laid waste to the planet's cities. In a final, desperate act, the Zorgaxians had unleashed a terrible weapon, a plague that twisted the very fabric of life itself. The Council's forces had fled, but the damage was done. Zorgax was left a shattered husk, its people gone, their legacy reduced to ash and memory. As the hologram faded, Zane felt a cold fury settle in his bones. The Council had known. They had sent him here not to explore, but to ensure their secrets remained buried. They feared what he might uncover, the truth he could bring to light. Titan nuzzled Zane's hand, a low rumble of understanding vibrating through its massive frame. In that moment, Zane knew what he had to do. He would not be a pawn in the Council's games any longer. He would expose their lies and bring justice to the forgotten people of Zorgax. Together, Zane and Titan set to work. They scoured the ruins, gathering evidence of the Council's treachery. Data crystals, holo-recordings, fragments of ancient technology. All of it painted a damning picture of the Council's crimes. Zane uploaded everything to the Odyssey's encrypted databanks, a trove of information that could bring the Council to its knees. But he knew he couldn't do it alone. The Council's reach was vast, their power entrenched. He needed allies, those who had seen the Council's true face and were willing to stand against them. And he knew just where to start. As the Odyssey broke Zorgax's atmosphere, Zane cast one last look at the planet that had changed everything. Titan sat beside him, a silent guardian, a living testament to the bonds that could flourish in the face of adversity. Together, they set a course for the heart of the Council's power, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Council had sought to bury the truth, to keep the galaxy in darkness, but they had underestimated the tenacity of the human spirit, the unbreakable will of those who fought for justice. Zane Ryder was coming, and he would not rest until the light of truth shone bright across the stars. Return and reckoning. The Odyssey sliced through the void, its hull still scared from the trials of Zorgax. In the cockpit, Zane Ryder sat, his eyes fixed on the looming shape of the Council's citadel. Titan stood at his side, a silent sentinel, its presence a comfort in the face of the coming storm. As they docked, a palpable tension filled the air. Word of Zane's return had spread, and the Council was waiting, their faces a mix of disbelief and barely concealed fear. They had thought him dead, lost to the horrors of Zorgax. They had never imagined he would return, and with a living symbol of their crimes at his side. Zane strode into the Council chamber, Titan's hulking form casting a long shadow across the polished floor. The gathered dignitaries fell silent, their whispers dying as they took in the sight of the human and his beast. "I have returned," Zane declared, his voice ringing with a quiet authority, "and I bring with me the truth you sought to bury." He presented his evidence, the damning records of the Council's atrocities on Zorgax. Holoscreens flickered to life, each one a condemnation, a testament to the depths of the Council's deceit. The chamber erupted in chaos, shouts of outrage and denial mingling with gasps of horror. Admiral Zolak surged to his feet, his face contorted in rage. "This is nonsense," he bellowed. "The ravings of a madman. Seize him." But as the Council's guards moved to obey, Titan stepped forward, a low growl rumbling in its chest. The guards faltered, their weapons lowering as they eyed the massive creature with fear. Zane pressed on, his voice rising above the din. "The Council has lied to us all. They seek to control, to dominate, to crush any who would challenge their power. But no longer. The people of Zorgax may be gone, but their memory lives on, and we will honor them by bringing their murderers to justice." One by one, voices rose in support. Ambassadors, diplomats, even members of the Council itself, all those who had grown weary of the lies and secrecy. They stood with Zane, their calls for truth and accountability swelling into a chorus that shook the very foundations of the citadel. In the end, the council crumbled. Those who had orchestrated the atrocities on Zorgax were stripped of their power, their crimes laid bare for all to see. A new order rose from the ashes, one based on transparency, on cooperation, on the belief that all species had the right to chart their own destiny. And at the center of it all stood Zane Ryder, the human who had dared to challenge an empire. He became a symbol of hope, a beacon for all those who had been oppressed and silenced. With Titan by his side, he led the charge for a brighter future, a galaxy where the strong stood with the weak, and the light of truth could never be extinguished. Years later, as Zane looked out across the stars from the bridge of his ship, he reflected on the journey that had brought him to this moment. Zorgax had changed him, had shown him the depths of his own strength, and the unbreakable bonds that could form between the most unlikely of allies. He placed a hand on Titan's broad head, feeling the warmth of its fur beneath his fingers. "We did it, big fella," he murmured. "We showed them what one human and one beast could do." Titan rumbled in agreement, its amber eyes glinting with a fierce intelligence. Together, they turned towards the horizon, ready for whatever adventures the galaxy had in store. For they knew, now more than ever, that nothing could stand in the way of a human's determination and the unbreakable spirit of those who fought for what was right.